What you refuse to absorb cannot control you. Think about that for a moment. Not what happens to you, not what people say about you, not what they think about you, not what they post about you, not what they assume about you. What controls your life is what you allow to enter your mind and stay there. Every day, people walk around carrying words that were never theirs to carry. One negative comment becomes a permanent belief. One rejection becomes a lifelong identity. One failure becomes proof that they are not good enough. And then they wonder why they feel stuck. The truth is simple. Your mind is like a house. Every opinion you absorb gets a room. Every insult you absorb gets a chair. Every doubt you absorb gets a bed. Soon your entire house is filled with things that never belonged there. And then you spend years trying to fight battles that were never yours. Someone called you average. You absorbed it. Someone laughed at your dream. You absorbed it. Someone doubted your ability. You absorbed it. Someone quit on you. You absorbed it. Now their words are living rent-free in your head, while they have already moved on with their lives. That is how control works. Most people think control comes from force. It doesn't. Control comes from influence. The moment someone can make you doubt yourself, they gain power. The moment someone can make you abandon your goals, they gain power. The moment someone can distract you from your purpose, they gain power. And most people hand over that power without even noticing. The world is full of noise. People complaining, people judging, people criticizing, people projecting their fears onto others. And if you absorb everything you hear, you will spend your entire life carrying the weight of people who never intended to help you. You cannot become strong while collecting everyone's negativity. You cannot become disciplined while listening to every excuse. You cannot build confidence while feeding on doubt every day. At some point you have to decide, not everything deserves a place in your mind. Not every opinion deserves your attention. Not every criticism deserves your energy. Not every voice deserves to be heard, because attention is expensive. Every minute you spend replaying someone's words is a minute you could have spent improving yourself. Every hour you spend being offended is an hour you could have spent building. Every day you spend feeling sorry for yourself is a day someone else is working toward the life you keep talking about. That may sound harsh, but reality does not reward excuses. Reality rewards action. The people who change their lives are not the people who never face negativity. They are the people who stop absorbing it. They hear it, they see it, they recognize it, then they let it pass, like a storm that cannot stay, because they understand something powerful. You do not have to carry every thought that enters your mind. You do not have to accept every label someone gives you. You do not have to become the person others expect you to be. You have a choice, and that choice determines your future. The strongest people are not those who never get criticized. They are the ones who refuse to let criticism become their identity. The strongest people are not those who never fail. They are the ones who refuse to let failure define them. The strongest people are not those who never face negativity. They are the ones who refuse to absorb it. And today, I want you to ask yourself one question. How much of your suffering comes from reality, and how much comes from things you chose to absorb? Because the answer to that question might change your life. Most people are not exhausted because they work too hard. They are exhausted because they think too much about things that do not matter. A single comment ruins their entire day. A small setback destroys their momentum. A mistake follows them for months. An opinion from someone they do not even respect keeps them awake at night. And while their mind is busy carrying all that weight, their goals sit untouched. Their dreams remain unfinished. Their potential remains hidden. Not because they lack talent, not because they lacked opportunity, but because they absorb things that never deserve their attention. Look around. The world is filled with distractions pretending to be important. People arguing about things that will not matter next week. People seeking approval from strangers. People changing who they are just to fit in. People sacrificing their future to avoid temporary discomfort. And every day, millions of people waste their energy fighting battles inside their heads, battles that should have ended the moment they began. You have to understand something. Life becomes easier when you stop taking everything personally. Someone ignores you, keep moving. Someone doubts you, keep moving. Someone misunderstands you. Keep moving. Someone refuses to see your value. Keep moving, because your mission is bigger than their opinion. Your future is bigger than their judgment. Your goals are bigger than their approval. But many people never learn this lesson. They spend years trying to convince others, trying to prove themselves, trying to explain themselves, trying to get everyone to understand. And in the process, they lose precious time. Time they could have spent becoming stronger. Time they could have spent learning. Time they could have spent building a better life. The truth is that not everyone will believe in you. Not everyone will support you. Not everyone will understand your vision. And none of that matters, because success has never required unanimous approval. Think about every great achievement, every successful person, every powerful story of transformation. At some point, somebody doubted them. At some point, somebody laughed. At some point, somebody said it could not be done. Imagine if they had absorbed those words. Imagine if they had accepted those limits. Imagine if they had allowed other people's fears to become their reality. Their lives would have looked completely different, and so would yours. The uncomfortable truth is that nobody is coming to save you. Nobody is going to hand you discipline. Nobody is going to hand you confidence. Nobody is going to hand you success. You have to build those things yourself, day by day, choice by choice, action by action. That means waking up when you do not feel like it, working when motivation disappears, staying focused when distractions are everywhere, continuing when progress feels slow. Because growth is not about feeling ready. Growth is about doing what needs to be done even when you're not ready. And that is where most people fail. They absorb discomfort and call it defeat. They absorb fear and call it reality. They absorb doubt and call it truth. But fear is not truth. Doubt is not truth. Negativity is not truth. They are only visitors. The problem begins when you invite them to stay. Your mind was never meant to become a storage room for fear. It was meant to become a workshop, a place where goals are built, a place where character is forged, a place where discipline is strengthened, a place where dreams become plans and plans become actions. But that can only happen when you stop feeding your attention to things that make you weaker. Because whatever you feed grows. Feed fear and fear grows. Feed excuses and excuses grow. Feed self-pity and self-pity grows. Feed discipline and discipline grows. Feed action and action grows. Feed courage and courage grows. The choice belongs to you. Every single day, every single hour, every single moment. You are deciding what deserves a place in your mind. And those decisions are shaping the person you become. The question is no longer whether negativity exists. The question is whether you will continue absorbing it, or whether you will finally become strong enough to let it pass through without taking a piece of you with it. There comes a moment in every person's life when they realize something painful. Nobody can destroy your future faster than your own unchecked mind. Not your enemies, not your critics, not your circumstances. Your mind. Because once a negative thought enters your head, and you accept it without questioning it, it starts acting like truth. And what you believe eventually becomes how you act. If you believe you are weak, you act weak. If you believe you cannot succeed, you stop trying. If you believe your past defines you, you stop creating a better future. That is why protecting your mind is not optional. It is necessary. Most people protect their money better than they protect their thoughts. They protect their phones. They protect their homes. They protect their possessions. But they allow anyone to enter their mind. Anyone can leave an opinion. Anyone can leave a criticism. Anyone can leave a doubt. And those thoughts remain there for years. Think about how dangerous that is. One sentence can affect someone for a decade. One moment of rejection can shape an entire identity. One failure can become a prison. Not because the event was powerful, but because the person absorbed it. Your life changes when you realize that events and meanings are not the same thing. The event happens, then you decide what it means. You fail an exam. Does it mean you are a failure? No. You get rejected. Does it mean you are worthless? No. You make a mistake. Does it mean you cannot improve? No. The event happened. The meaning is your choice. And that choice can either build your future or destroy it. Many people spend years trapped by meanings they created during their weakest moments. A bad experience becomes a permanent belief. A difficult chapter becomes a permanent identity. A temporary setback becomes a permanent excuse. And because they keep replaying the story, they keep reliving the pain. The story becomes stronger than reality. But you are not your worst day. You are not your biggest mistake. You are not the opinion someone had about you. You are not the failure you experienced. You are what you decide to become from this point forward. That is where real power begins. Not when life becomes easier. Not when people become nicer. Not when circumstances become perfect. Real power begins when you stop giving your circumstances permission to define you, because the world does not care how many reasons you have. It responds to what you do. You can spend 10 years explaining why your life is difficult, or you can spend those 10 years changing it. You can spend years blaming your past, or you can spend years building your future. You can spend your energy complaining, or you can spend your energy creating. Both choices are hard, but only one of them moves you forward. The harsh reality is that success is often boring. It is not dramatic. It is not exciting every day. It is waking up and doing the work when nobody is watching. It is staying disciplined when nobody is forcing you. It is remaining focused when distractions are everywhere. It is choosing long-term rewards over short-term comfort. Most people know what they should do. They simply do not do it. Why? Because they absorb comfort. They absorb excuses. They absorb the belief that tomorrow will be different even if they change nothing today. But tomorrow does not magically improve your life. Your actions do. Every goal you want is on the other side of consistent effort. Every skill you admire was built through repetition. Every achievement you respect was earned through discipline. Nobody accidentally becomes great. Greatness is built brick by brick, day by day, choice by choice. That is why your focus matters so much. If your focus is consumed by negativity, you cannot build. If your focus is consumed by fear, you cannot build. If your focus is consumed by distractions, you cannot build. Building requires attention. Building requires effort. Building requires sacrifice. And sacrifice means refusing things that weaken you. Refusing excuses. Refusing self-pity. Refusing laziness. Refusing the endless noise trying to pull you away from your purpose. Because every day you absorb those things, they become heavier. And every day you reject them, you become stronger. The person you want to become is not waiting for motivation. That person is waiting for action. That person is waiting for discipline. That person is waiting for you to stop listening to every voice around you and start listening to the voice that knows exactly what needs to be done. The voice that says get up. The voice that says keep going. The voice that says do the work. Even when it is hard, especially when it is hard, because that is where transformation begins. One of the greatest lies people tell themselves is this: I will start when I feel ready. I will start when I feel confident. I will start when the timing is perfect. I will start when life becomes easier. But life does not work that way. Confidence does not come before action. Confidence comes from action. Strength does not come before struggle. Strength comes from struggle. Discipline does not come before hard work. Discipline comes from hard work. Yet, so many people spend years waiting for a feeling that was never supposed to arrive first. And while they wait, their life keeps moving. Days become months. Months become years. Years become regrets. The painful truth is that time does not care about your excuses. Time keeps moving. Every day that passes is a day you will never get back. Every hour wasted is an hour gone forever. Every opportunity ignored becomes another opportunity lost. That is why the people who succeed are not necessarily smarter. They are not necessarily more talented. They are simply willing to act while everyone else is waiting. They understand something that most people never learn. Action creates momentum. Momentum creates confidence. Confidence creates growth. Growth creates results. But it all starts with action. Not tomorrow. Not next week. Today. Right now. The reason many people stay stuck is because they absorb comfort. Comfort tells them to stay where they are. Comfort tells them to wait. Comfort tells them they can start later. Comfort tells them that one more day will not matter. But comfort is expensive. It costs dreams. It costs opportunities. It costs potential. And the longer you listen to comfort, the harder it becomes to leave it behind. Look at your goals. Look at the person you want to become. Then ask yourself a difficult question. Are your daily actions actually moving you toward that person? Or are they moving you away from them? Because goals are not achieved through intentions. They are achieved through behavior. Everybody wants results. Few people want the process. Everybody wants success. Few people want the sacrifice. Everybody wants the reward. Few people want the work. That is why so many people remain average, not because they lack ability, because they refuse to do what average people refuse to do. The world celebrates winners, but it rarely sees what created them. The early mornings, the lonely hours, the repeated failures, the constant effort, the moments when quitting would have been easier. Those moments create greatness. Not talent, not luck, not motivation. Effort, consistent effort. The kind of effort that continues when excitement disappears. Because excitement is temporary. Motivation is temporary. Feelings are temporary. But discipline can stay. Discipline can carry you through days when motivation is nowhere to be found. And those are the days that matter most. Anyone can work hard when they feel inspired. Anyone can chase a goal when everything is going well. But can you keep going when progress is invisible? Can you keep going when nobody notices? Can you keep going when results are slow? That is the test. That is where most people quit. And that is exactly why most people never reach their potential. The truth is that success is often hidden inside repetition, doing the right thing again, and again, and again, until it becomes part of who you are. There is no shortcut. There is no secret formula. There is no magical moment when everything suddenly becomes easy. There is only the decision to keep showing up, the decision to keep improving, the decision to keep moving forward, even when it feels difficult, especially when it feels difficult. Because every time you choose effort over excuses, you grow. Every time you choose discipline over comfort, you grow. Every time you choose action over procrastination, you grow. And growth changes everything, not overnight, but over time. A single workout may not change your body. A single day of studying may not change your future. A single hour of work may not change your life. But repeated consistently, those actions become powerful. Small actions repeated for long enough create extraordinary results. That is how lives are transformed, not through one massive decision, but through thousands of small decisions made correctly. And every one of those decisions begins with the same choice: refusing to absorb the excuses that tell you to stop, refusing to absorb the fear that tells you to wait, refusing to absorb the comfort that tells you to settle. Because the moment you stop absorbing those things, you become dangerous. Dangerous to your old habits, dangerous to your limitations, dangerous to the version of yourself that keeps settling for less. And that is exactly the person you need to become. There's a version of you that already knows what needs to be done. A version of you that does not need another motivational video. A version of you that does not need another excuse. A version of you that is tired of talking and ready to act. The problem is not that you lack information. The problem is that information without action changes nothing. You can read every book, watch every video, listen to every speech, learn every strategy, and still remain exactly where you are, because knowledge only becomes power when it's applied. The truth is that your future is being built right now, not someday, not next month, not next year, right now, with every decision you make, every habit you repeat, every action you take, and every action you avoid. People often imagine their future as something distant, something separate from today, but your future is simply today's choices repeated over time. If you repeat discipline, you build strength. If you repeat effort, you build success. If you repeat excuses, you build regret. The outcome is not complicated. The difficulty is in the execution, because execution requires responsibility, and responsibility is uncomfortable. It forces you to stop blaming, stop waiting, stop expecting life to change before you do. At some point, you must accept a hard reality. Nobody owes you success. Nobody owes you results. Nobody owes you a better life. Those things must be earned, not because life is unfair, but because growth demands effort. Think about the person you admire most, the strongest person, the most disciplined person, the most successful person, the most resilient person. What makes them different? It is not that life was easier for them. It is that they learned how to keep moving when life became difficult. They stopped negotiating with their excuses. They stopped arguing with reality. They stopped waiting for perfect conditions. They focused on what they could control: their actions, their habits, their attitude, their effort, and that focus changed everything. Too many people spend their lives trying to control things they cannot control: the opinions of others, the past, the economy, the circumstances around them, the behavior of other people. Meanwhile, they neglect the one thing they actually can control: themselves. Your energy is limited. Every minute spent worrying about things outside your control is a minute stolen from your progress. Imagine what would happen if you redirected that energy. Imagine what would happen if all the time spent doubting yourself became time spent improving yourself. Imagine what would happen if all the energy spent complaining became energy spent building. Your life would look completely different, and that change can begin today. Not because your circumstances changed, but because your mindset changed. The strongest people are not always the most talented. They are often the most focused. Focused on what matters. Focus on what they can influence. Focus on taking the next step, even when that step is difficult. Especially when that step is difficult, because they understand something most people ignore. Progress is rarely dramatic. It is usually quiet. It is the workout nobody sees, the chapter nobody applauds, the practice session nobody notices, the extra effort nobody talks about. Those moments seem small, but they are not. They are the foundation of every achievement. The world sees the result. You must fall in love with the process. The world celebrates the finish line. You must respect the journey, because the journey is where your character is built. And character matters more than motivation. Motivation can disappear tomorrow. Character stays. Character keeps going. Character does the work. Character chooses responsibility over excuses. Character chooses discipline over comfort. Character chooses growth over convenience. And that choice must be made again and again and again. Not once. Every day. Because every day life will test you. Life will test your patience, your focus, your commitment, your discipline. And every time it does, you have a choice. Absorb the negativity or reject it. Absorb the excuses or reject them. Absorb the fear or reject it. Because whatever you refuse to absorb loses its power over you. And the moment something loses its power over you, you become free. Free to focus. Free to grow. Free to build. Free to become the person you were capable of becoming all along. As this video comes to an end, I want you to remember one thing. Your life is not being shaped by everything that happens to you. It is being shaped by what you choose to carry. Every day, the world will try to hand you something. A criticism, a distraction, a fear, a doubt, an excuse, a reason to quit, a reason to settle, a reason to stay exactly where you are. And every day, you have a choice. You can pick it up, or you can leave it where it belongs. Because not everything deserves a place in your mind. Not everything deserves your attention. Not everything deserves your energy. And not everything deserves your reaction. The strongest people understand this. They do not waste their lives carrying unnecessary weight. They focus on what matters. Their purpose, their goals, their growth, their discipline, their future. That is why they keep moving while others stay stuck. Not because they never face negativity, but because they refuse to absorb it. Remember this. The opinions of others cannot stop you unless you absorb them. Failure cannot stop you unless you absorb it. Fear cannot stop you unless you absorb it. Doubt cannot stop you unless you absorb it. Your past cannot stop you unless you keep carrying it into your future. The power has always been yours. The decision has always been yours. The responsibility has always been yours. And that should excite you. Because if your choices created your current situation, your choices can also create a better one. Starting today, starting now, not when conditions improve, not when motivation arrives, not when life becomes easier. Now, take ownership, do the work, stay disciplined, keep your focus, protect your mind, guard your attention, and refuse to give your energy to things that make you weaker. The person you want to become is built through daily choices, small choices, repeated consistently, for long enough. That is how confidence is built. That is how strength is built. That is how success is built. And that is how ordinary people create extraordinary lives. So when this video ends, do not just feel motivated. Act. Choose one thing you've been avoiding, one goal you've been delaying, one habit you know you need to build, and start. No excuses, no waiting, no negotiations. Just start, because action will always take you further than intention, and effort will always take you further than wishing. If this message connected with you, consider subscribing so you can continue building a stronger mindset with this community. If you found value in this video, leave a like so more people can discover it and hear this message when they need it most. And if you have a personal experience with overcoming negativity, fear, doubt, or excuses, share it in the comments. Someone reading your story might be going through the same struggle right now, and your words could help them keep moving forward. Finally, share this video with someone who needs a reminder that they do not have to absorb everything life throws at them. Thank you for spending this time with me. Now close this video. Get back to your goals. Get back to your work. Get back to becoming the person you know you are capable of being. Because the life you want will not be built by what you feel. It will be built by what you do. And what you refuse to absorb can never control you.